Avoid the fibs, all new Bridge of Lies at 4:30 this afternoon. Nowhere to hide now, though, on BBC One. The defenders are on the case.
All around us, in every part of the UK, are skilled teams of eagle-eyed men and women, working alongside the police to keep us safe. They're the people on the front line, tackling the hazards that place us in danger.
This is not something we want anyone at all to ever experience.
They're cracking down on those who threaten our families.
These people prey on vulnerable people. They're just the lowest of the low.
They're protecting us on the streets and in our homes.
With telephone calls now, I don't answer it. That's how scared I am.
These men and women make up the UK's enforcement teams, our defenders. Today, our defenders send Wales' worst builder to jail.
Say hospital appointments, vans being off the road. He's gone through the A to Z of excuses, I think.
They catch up with a serial fly tipper.
He left a trail of waste across Devon. Frankly, I think he got what he deserved.
And they put a stop to a brazen attempt to cheat the NHS out of millions.
What we were looking at was a multi-million-pound exaggeration of loss in a claim against the National Health Service.
This is Rob Hale. He looks friendly enough, but he's been dubbed the worst builder in Wales. Maureen and Dennis Hodge paid him more than £60,000 to build an extension, but he walked off the job, leaving them high and dry.
I'd like Mr. Hale to think long and hard about what he does to people. He is out for himself. He will take every last penny you've got and walk away and not look back at you at all.
Back in 2014, Dennis's parents were both unwell. His dad had dementia and his mum had just been diagnosed with cancer.
That she's going to need looking after. My dad's going to need looking after. So we came up with the idea to make it suitable for us both to live here and they could have some kind of independence.
The plan was to build an extension so they could all live under one roof.
It was intended for my in-laws to have a self-contained annex at the back of the house so that they were able to contact us if they needed us, and we were on site 24 hours a day for them.
Maureen and Dennis invited 3 builders to quote. Among them, Rob Hale.
He was prompt. 3 o'clock we arranged to meet him, 3 o'clock he was here. He walked around, he took measurements, he seemed to know what he was doing. He offered to build ramps as extras for my mother-in-law if she needed a wheelchair and things.
It all sounded plausible.
It did sound plausible. When we received the quotes of all the 3 builders that came to give us a quote, Mr. Hale's was the most convincing. It was done on a spreadsheet, every item was listed. The cost of the materials, the cost of the labour, until it tallied up to the full price.
The total price was £62,000.
All the builders' quotes were roughly the same amount of money.
Mr. Hale's wasn't the cheapest, was it?
No, he was middle. He was middle.
Rob Hale created a good impression, so Maureen and Dennis gave him the job. It was a decision they'd live to regret.
At the beginning, we didn't have any doubts at all. He was very quick at demolishing and he was knocking this house down, basically.
Maureen and Dennis were paying him in instalments as each stage of the job was completed.
To knock down the existing extension and dig out the footings and get this bit, he required £8,500.
They handed over the money, but as the job went on, the demands for cash became more frequent.
Can I have £5,000? Can I have £2,000? Can I have £3,000? I need to order windows. I need money off you to order windows. We paid Mr. Hale 3 times for windows.
Alison Farrer is a lead officer for trading standards in Wales.
Don't allow the builder to push you into paying any more than you think you should be paying for those stages. Pay a good deposit, that's fair enough, but don't allow them to come to you on a Friday afternoon and ask for a bit of money to pay the lads or something. You need to be sure that what you're paying for, you've had your money's worth. So if they did stop down tools and walk away, you know that you've paid for everything that's been done so far, and that would put you in a better position to be able to put things right.
Maureen and Dennis continued to pay Rob Hale, but work was slowing down and the job was overrunning.
There was all sorts, say hospital appointments, vans being off the road, unable to get material, you name it, and he'd gone through the A to Z of excuses, I think.
By now, Dennis's mum had passed away and his dad had gone into residential care. They no longer wanted or needed the extension, but they were stuck with it.
We were so far into the job that we couldn't pull out. We had invested so much money, we just didn't know where to turn, to be honest with you. We were in a catch-22 situation, and we were thinking, oh, he's bound to come right, he's bound to come right.
But he never did. The job was supposed to be completed in 3 months.
He was going to finish in the November, then he was going to finish in the December, then he was going to finish by January, then we had March, and then obviously he just disappeared off the face of the earth. He sent us an email saying he was very sorry, but he was no longer going to be able to complete the job for us. He had been diagnosed with depression. And he'd been advised not to work anymore.
Maureen and Dennis were still grieving the loss of his mother. Their home was little more than a shell.
We had given Mr. Hale in excess of £62,000, which was what he was contracted for. So he had taken every penny that was on the contract. We were distraught. We just didn't know what to do.
It's devastating when a rogue builder destroys your house and takes all your money. When we are out of our depth, when we don't fully understand, when we're at our most vulnerable, it's good to know that there is somebody out there who can help us. It's good to know that there are people like the people I work with, my colleagues, that are out there helping protect everybody.
What Maureen and Dennis didn't know was that Rob Hale was already being investigated. Sarah Smith is team manager for Cardiff Council's Shared Regulatory Services.
We see a lot of cases involving rogue traders and rogue builders.
Sarah is our defender.
We get complaints on probably a daily, weekly basis relating to people who've been ripped off or had really bad or poor substandard work carried out.
But the case of Rob Hale, the man dubbed Wales' worst builder, stands out.
I think that's probably due to how prolific and severe the case was.
Later, Rob Hale faces time in jail thanks to our defenders.
She was adamant that she was going to take him off the streets and that he was not going to be able to trade again.
Devon, renowned for its spectacular coastline, beautiful beaches and cream teas. But for a time, the countryside here has been blighted by the actions of a serial fly tipper, Martin McDonough.
I've been doing this job now for 25 years and he's one of the worst fly tippers I've come across.
For 3 years, McDonough was a wanted man. But our defenders were determined to put a stop to his law-breaking and bring him to justice.
I hope it sends out a strong deterrent message to any other would-be fly tippers or waste criminals.
Adrian Evans investigates waste crime for the Environment Agency. Adrian is our defender.
They don't really care whether they've tipped the waste. It cost the local authorities an estimated £58 million last year to clear up the fly tipping mess. Money which would have been better spent safeguarding public services.
Adrian was initially alerted by Tainbridge District Council to a spike in the number of fly tipping incidents, and it quickly became clear one man was responsible.
A chap called Martin in a tatty blue Ford Transit van was going around collecting waste for cash. He was claiming he was going to take it to tip when in fact he was simply fly tipping it.
Adrian took on the investigation and started to build up a more detailed picture.
The way that McDonough was operating was to drive around residential areas looking for opportunities to collect waste from properties. He would cold call at the door, uninvited. Several of his victims described him as persistent and pushy.
Emma Viner is a senior team leader in the Environment Agency's Joint Unit for Waste Crime. The unit was created to tackle serious and organised crime in the waste industry.
If somebody turns up and you haven't requested somebody to turn up and come and look at your waste and they're turning up out of the blue, then that should be a warning sign. You should be asking the questions about whether they're registered, where they're intending to take your waste. If they want cash and aren't prepared to deal with any other type of payment, then that should be a warning sign as well. And you should always have a receipt. If you make a payment, then anyone legitimate would be willing to provide a receipt.
McDonough would go door to door, offering to take rubbish away there and then. He'd insist on being paid in cash.
Having loaded the vehicle, several of his victims described how he would then ask for more money and even on occasions come back the next day claiming that he was out of pocket having taken it to tip, when in fact all he'd done was fly tip it.
He would dump the waste in beauty spots. In one incident, he even threw it out the back of his moving van, leaving a trail of rubbish in his wake.
We traced over 25 separate fly tips to Martin McDonough. We suspect there were many more that didn't come to our attention.
Working closely with the police and local councils, Adrian tracked down McDonough's blue transit van and towed it away.
Early one morning with the police and a specialist contractor, we removed the vehicle, and that clearly immediately stopped it being used for any further fly tipping.
McDonough was arrested and taken in for questioning.
Our officers interviewed him in custody and he actually claimed to have had no involvement at all.
Adrian knew this was a lie, but he had to prove it.
3 of our witnesses came forward. They positively identified him from a video ID procedure, and at that stage we realised we had enough evidence to successfully prosecute him.
Faced with overwhelming evidence, McDonough finally pleaded guilty. But 9 days before he was due to be sentenced, in an attempt to evade justice, McDonough fled the country.
At that point, given that we were determined to make sure he faced justice for his crimes, we sought a European arrest warrant.
The warrant was issued, and McDonough's wanted status was circulated across Europe.
We then worked with the National Crime Agency and Devon and Cornwall Police's extradition team to track him down.
For 3 years, McDonough lay low, but eventually he was arrested and brought back to the UK to face justice. He was jailed for 20 months and an additional 6 weeks for skipping bail.
What we also did, in an effort to stop McDonough ever committing crimes like this again in the future, was to apply to the court for what is known as a criminal behaviour order.
The order was granted. It prohibits McDonough from ever being involved in a waste collection business.
I was very pleased with the outcome. He left a trail of waste across Devon and really, frankly, I think he got what he deserved.
Later, it's the end of the road for Martin McDonough's tatty blue transit van. We heard earlier how cowboy builder Rob Hale took £62,000 off Maureen and Dennis Hodge, then walked off the job.
We just didn't know where to turn, to be honest with you. We were in a catch-22 situation.
Sarah Smith was investigating Hale. At first, it was a fairly routine inquiry into yet another rogue builder.
We'd received a complaint about him from consumers who'd taken him on to do building work that was not going as well as it should have been. Our first step is to speak to the consumers, to speak to the victims, get a witness statement off them that can be used in evidence, take the photos, get that evidence documented of what's actually happened in their home or not happened.
Hello there.
The BBC's Welsh consumer programme, X-Ray, tried to interview Rob Hale after receiving several complaints.
Doesn't seem very keen to talk to us, does he? That was a bit of a surprise, I think.
X-Ray branded him the worst rogue they'd ever investigated.
So this is the house?
Yes.
Yes, yeah. Family home since 1912.
Several of Hale's victims were featured on X-Ray, including Maureen and Dennis Hodge.
As a result of them showing that programme, we then were able to contact those consumers as well, so and use their experiences and use them as witnesses to help our ongoing investigation.
Because Hale had been so prolific, there was a lot of evidence to gather.
There was this repeated pattern of behaviour. So he would take on a contract, he would demand lots of money up front, substantial amounts of money from a contract. He would then start lots of labour-intensive work, demolition, taking things out, knocking walls down.
Work would then slow down and eventually stop altogether.
But then in the meantime, he would then be taking on another contract and starting the same process over again. And that process basically went on for the best part of 2 years.
Sylvia Rook is the lead officer for fair trading at the Chartered Trading Standards Institute.
I think when anybody's been ripped off in any way, they always feel that it's their fault, that they're personally responsible for what's happened. But when you choose a builder or when you choose any trader, there has to be trust. You have to expect that they're going to do what they say. What I always say with regard to rogue traders is that if they're con artists, if they're conning you out of money, that's their job. So if they've got their money from you, that's what their intention was. So it's not your fault, you're the victim.
Among the families worst affected were Maureen and Dennis Hodge.
The emotional turmoil that they went through, the only work that had been done was demolition work and the underpinning. It's not just a financial impact. These are people's homes. Every family member was impacted by what he'd done to them.
Maureen and Dennis had to pay another £71,000 to finish the work Hale started.
Now that it's finally completed, yes, the home is lovely. It is an outstanding home, but it's not what we wanted. We didn't get what we required out of it. We were never able to look after my in-laws.
Yeah, with the benefit of hindsight, if I could do it all over again, I probably wouldn't.
Emotionally, it's taken its toll on everybody. It cost me 6 years more in work. It cost me time with my grandchildren. Physically, it's cost us because my husband's health has deteriorated. There's been a massive impact on all of us.
Finally, in August 2020, Rob Hale was brought to justice.
A rogue builder who preyed on the vulnerability of his victims has been sentenced for defrauding customers across South Wales. Cardiff Council investigators say Hale is one of the worst offenders they have ever seen.
Rob Hale pleaded guilty to 2 counts of participating in a fraudulent business. He was jailed for 2 years and 3 months.
Realistically, a term of imprisonment is a proportionate and justified sentence for the scale and the devastation that he left behind him in this case.
Maureen and Dennis are keen to pay tribute to the work of Trading Standards, and especially to the investigator who handled their case.
I take my hat off to that lady because she never, ever gave up on him. She was adamant that she was going to take him off the streets and that he was not going to be able to trade again. And she did. Without her, we would never have got the justice that we got for Mr. Hale.
I think they do an immense job. Absolutely. Very, very thorough. First-class communications between us and them. Yeah, tremendous.
She is there to defend the normal person, She is there for your down-to-earth, everyday person that's getting duped by somebody. She will look after the normal person, whereas Mr. Hale will look after Mr. Hale.
Our gratitude for those who care, who save and protect us is shared by most of us. But not by everyone. Linda Metcalfe tried to con £5.7 million out of the NHS by exaggerating her disability, pretending she needed a wheelchair.
What we were looking at was a multi-million pound exaggeration in a claim against the National Health Service.
Helen Vernon is the Chief Executive of NHS Resolution. It's Helen's job to ensure exaggerated and fraudulent claims are rejected.
It's really important to make sure that every claim that we receive is a valid one and that there is a genuine entitlement to compensation.
Helen is our defender.
We have a duty to defend NHS trusts and to look after taxpayer funds. We aim to compensate genuine claims as quickly as we can, but if an invalid claim or a fraudulent claim is brought against the NHS, it's really important that we investigate that thoroughly and that we take necessary steps to ensure that money isn't being spent on compensating somebody who isn't entitled to that compensation.
Linda Metcalfe made a claim for medical negligence back in 2012. She was suffering a rare spinal condition and claimed a delay in her diagnosis had had a severe impact on her daily life.
Ms Metcalfe claimed that as a result of the misdiagnosis, she'd suffered very severe restrictions to her mobility. So she needed walking aids to go out. She needed a wheelchair on occasions. She couldn't socialise in areas that she wasn't familiar with. She was restricted in her ability to go on holiday. And generally, she needed quite a lot of care to undertake her everyday activities.
Metcalfe accepted an initial payment of £75,000 and submitted a claim totalling £5.7 million.
For cases where we think that there may be some element of exaggeration, they come to light in a variety of ways.
In this case, doctors who examined Linda Metcalfe and questioned her about her condition raised the alarm.
When we came to assess the amount of compensation that she was entitled to, a number of the medical experts raised concerns about the inconsistencies in her account of how she had suffered as a result of what had happened to her.
These concerns were so serious that Helen and her team decided to look more closely at the claim.
A lot of people have social media profiles nowadays that are not necessarily protected, and Ms Metcalfe was one of those. So we had a look at what was in the public domain on her social media and established that she was actually very active.
In fact, what investigators found was completely at odds with her claim.
Ms Metcalfe said that she could only socialise in familiar areas and that she couldn't go on holiday, but yet on social media she was seen to be going on holiday to Fuerteventura, France, Spain, Thailand, and was very open about that.
There were now serious concerns about Linda Metcalfe's multi-million-pound claim. The next step was to carry out a surveillance operation.
We're very careful to ensure that when we undertake surveillance, we do it over a period of days, because sometimes claimants do have good days and bad days.
Linda Metcalfe was secretly filmed over a number of days. She was able to walk unaided as she went about her daily life. Shopping, visiting restaurants, and even walking along the seafront at Scarborough. But it was a very different story whenever she attended medical appointments.
And what we discovered was Ms Metcalfe using a wheelchair to transfer out of a car to an appointment with medical experts, but then later on the same day, getting out of the car, not requiring a stick or a walking frame, going to a fish and chip restaurant and then going for a walk across the seafront with a friend. It was very clear from the surveillance that what we had here was a complete fabrication of Ms. Metcalfe's condition.
The exaggeration was so extreme that NHS Resolution decided to take Linda Metcalfe to court.
Cases where the claimant exaggerates in quite this way are very, very rare. I've not seen a case of this severity in all of the cases where we've deployed surveillance. This was a fabrication over many years to a very large degree.
Faced with the video evidence, Metcalfe admitted her wrongdoing and in February 2021 was given a 6-month jail sentence. She was also ordered to hand back her initial payment of £75,000.
Public money is taxpayers' money, it's money that's given to the NHS to care for patients, and we need to ensure that that's spent in the right way on those patients who need it. Every penny that we spend is NHS money.
We saw earlier how serial fly tipper Martin McDonough left a trail of waste across Devon's beautiful countryside.
I've been doing this job now for 25 years and he's one of the worst fly tippers I've come across.
McDonough was jailed and banned from ever being involved in waste collection. As part of the investigation, his van was also seized. Adrian Evans investigates waste crime for the Environment Agency.
It was a blue Ford Transit van, it was tatty. It was examined by a vehicle examiner from the Driver and Vehicle Standards Agency, who actually said it was dangerous and in an unroadworthy condition.
That was the final straw. The van McDonough had used for his fly tipping spree was crushed. For Adrian, taking vehicles like this out of circulation serves many purposes.
It gets them off the road, it prevents them from being used for fly tipping, and I hope it sends out a strong deterrent message to other would-be fly tippers that if you use your vehicle to commit waste offences, it could end up at a place like this getting squashed.
Across the UK, our defenders are out there, protecting all we hold dear. Our homes, our families, and our environment.
Waste crime on any level is not acceptable. Doing what we're doing, we are protecting everybody from the impacts of this type of criminality.
A whole lot of house on the way here on BBC One. Hopefully they'll do something about that before it rains. Brand new homes under the hammer next.